What's up, digital world? I'm Stephen Lewis. Before we get started, if you could, like and follow me at Stephen Lewis on the air, the link to the socials below. Let's talk a little Uncharted with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. Uncharted based on the popular Sony video game franchise that I'm not going to lie, I played the hell out of and liked it a lot. Very intelligent and fun game. The movie, well, it's based on a video game, but let me start by saying I had fun with this movie. It might very well be the best video game to movie adaptation done since the first Mortal Kombat back in the 90s. Not Mortal Kombat Annihilation, because that is a steaming pile of dog crap, but the first Mortal Kombat is actually pretty good. This one, the problem with video game movies are twofold. One, the gamers who love the game complain because the movie is not exactly like the game, and there are certain things that they just don't get right, or leave out, or change, and it pisses gamers off. I understand that. The other side of that is the people who never played the game, who don't find it necessarily interested or worth their time to go. Uncharted, if you just take it as a fun movie based off a video game, you're probably going to enjoy yourself. It's the story of Nathan Drake, who is essentially a kind of a modern Indiana Jones. He's not an archaeologist, but he is a fortune hunter. If you combine National Treasure with Indiana Jones, you get Nathan Drake, who in the video game scours the world for lost treasure with his friend Sully, who's a little bit older, a more seasoned thief slash veteran treasure hunter. This time around they go with Tom Holland, who I love Tom Holland, don't get me wrong, nothing against Tom Holland, love his take as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker. I think he's cast perfectly there. However, I don't think he is the right casting for Nathan Drake. And that's not a knock on Tom Holland. They went younger with this. This is a prequel to any of the Uncharted games, so casting a little younger is fine. A lot of people have kind of taken issue with Mark Wahlberg as Sully. I like Mark Wahlberg as Sully because essentially Sully is an older version of the Nathan Drake character in a lot of capacities. So there were things about this I liked. Again, I just think it was kind of a misstep when it comes to casting. I don't know who you would have cast as Nathan Drake. A lot of people fan cast Chris Pratt as that, but a lot of people fan cast Chris Pratt as Indiana Jones and 100 other people as well, so I don't think Chris Pratt can play everyone. I just think that maybe Tom Holland was the wrong guy for this. That doesn't mean this is bad. That doesn't mean I liked his performance any less. It just means that I think they could have done differently. That being said, we get to see how the characters meet for the first time, and if you are a video game player, they take a lot of this out of the video game, with Tom Holland growing up in an orphanage surrounded by nuns, having an older brother who he idolized, him being a bartender for a while. They take a lot of that from the game. The cross is taken directly from the game, but the basic gist of this go-round is there's a lost treasure that Magellan found when he sailed around the world, being the first to sail around the world. The movie suggests that he didn't quite make it all the way. He died, his crew hid this massive treasure, and somewhere it's lost, and things that are lost aren't gone, they just haven't been found yet, which, good quote. Anyway, that being said, the family of the wealthy Spanish lords that financed Magellan's cruise around the world, their descendant Antonio Banderas wants the treasure to recoup the losses that their family suffered millions or thousands of years ago. So they too are hunting for the treasure. You bring in a bunch of unsavory type characters and some cool characters here and there, and you go find treasure throughout the world. Much like the game, there are puzzles. Now, the puzzles aren't quite as challenging as they were in the game, but they do have to go through steps, kind of like in National Treasure, to find the big score at the end. There's a lot of parkour, which sometimes plays well, sometimes doesn't. The opening scene with him jumping off the cargo crates trying to get back into the plane, that's taken directly from the game, which is pretty cool. But I will say they had a little better budget on Spider-Man for CGI than they did Uncharted. That being said, it was still fun to watch. Some of the fight scenes lacked a little bit. The one thing that I did see somebody write about Nathan Drake is Drake isn't necessarily a comic failure. He kind of knows what he's doing a little bit, but again, if you go back, this is a younger Nathan Drake, and he hasn't quite got to where he is level-wise as far as the game yet. And so if you look at it from that aspect, it's not necessarily bad. There were some things I liked. The heist at the end, though, like when they start to take the pirate ships that somehow remained hidden with all the treasure on it through the air heist, that was a lot of fun to watch. The chemistry between Wahlberg and Holland is pretty good. And I like some of the supporting villains because, well, they're just villains. They look like villains, and it worked. So, overall, I had a lot of fun with it. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite movie of the year by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't hate it as much as some of the other people who were dogging this movie did. As far as video game adaptions go, I would definitely put it up there in the top 3, which is saying a lot right there. And I think the casting, for the most part, is pretty cool because you do get some of those video game characters brought in, and it opens it up for the audience that has absolutely no idea what the game was about. All that said, it's in theaters now. Check it out. It's definitely something. We saw it IMAX-wise, so if you see it on a big screen, it is one of those movies that does play well on a big screen. But either way, if you see it in the theater or if you're watching it at home, down in front.